Okay, good morning everybody. So how's everybody? I hope all of you are doing well. Just give me a minute. I just look at my device. Okay, so how's everybody? Okay, okay. The device is all set up. We have 135 people right now. I'm assuming that the other 100 people will join us soon. Okay, let's see. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Okay, Pritish, Rahul, Manisha, Harish. Bhaktivaraj, Samudar, Bhumika, Viresh, Madhusri, Krishna, Anusha, Ashwin, Anusha, Sampada, Naren, Sakshi, Chitra, Sneha, Krishna, Krishna, Ketan. Okay, Sampada, I'm telling right. One second, one second.
Go through your voice is not clear. I think it should be fine now. Okay, I think the voice should be fine now, right? Okay, take it. Good morning everybody. Yeah, actually my Bluetooth speakers were connected, that's why. So the speakers were very far away, so sorry about that. I hope everything is good on your side, because everything is fine on my side. Take it. So what are you guys up to? What have you guys been doing so far? So on Saturday we will have a problem solving session for on Saturday we'll have a problem solving session for your first chapter, that is reproduction in organisms. Okay, that is what we'll have a problem solving session on, because I think next Sunday you guys have a test of the first chapter, if I'm not wrong, right? Okay. Okay, so notes for the yesterday's class will be uploaded soon. Do not worry about that. How am I? I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday are a bit hectic for me, but other than that, I'm good. Okay, so done. So shall we start with the class then? Enough with the chit chat. Okay, so let's start the class then. So we are doing human reproduction. We are doing human reproduction, and today what we are going to do is, okay, today is your lecture number 4. Today is your lecture number 4, and I think I'll need 5 to 6 more lectures to finish this chapter off. Okay, and 1 or 2 problem solving sessions. Let's see. Okay, so today is your human reproduction lecture number 4. So let's just do a quick recap of what we studied in yesterday's class, right? So what did we study in yesterday's class? In yesterday's class, we started with your uterus, right? Then we talked about your cervix, okay? And after that, we talked about your vagina. Then we talked about the external female genitalia. External female genitalia, right? Okay, we talked about that, and after that, the last thing that we talked about was breasts, right? That was the last thing. So actually, one last subtopic of breast was left, okay, from the previous class, which we'll be covering in today's class. That is what we'll be starting with of today. Okay, so let's just do a couple of revision questions as always, and then we'll start with the class. Okay, start kare fir? Okay, the first question is now on your screen. Which of the following is a finger-like structure and lies at the upper junction of 2 labia minora above the urethral opening? Okay, so which of the following is a finger-like structure? A very simple question, right? That lies at the upper junction of the 2 labia minora, okay, above the urethral opening. So your options are clitoris, oviduct, ampulla, and chorionic villi. Okay, so let's just have a quick poll then. One second. Okay, so now the poll is live on your screen. The poll is now live on your screen. Get your votes in, people. Okay, everybody should get this wrong. Everybody should get this wrong. Sorry, everybody should get this correct. Okay, a very simple question. Kal kitni baar mention kiya tha, right? I mentioned this multiple times. We talked about it at length, so everybody should know this. Okay, so for 60% of you have voted. If the other 40% can also vote, that would be very nice. Okay, Atharv, just wait for it, beta. Okay. 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 5 seconds and I'll wrap up the polling. 5 seconds and I'll wrap up the polling. Better get your votes in. There are 29% of you have not voted yet. Okay, take it. So 3, 2, 1, and we'll stop. And let's stop. Okay. So 26% of you did not vote. Okay, as always, there are always those people who never vote. I don't know why. Okay, so according to you guys, 78% of you who voted, that is more than 100 people, think that option A is correct and option A is absolutely correct, right? Clitoris is the finger-like projection present at the upper junction bit of the two labia minora, and it is present above the urethral opening. Okay, oviduct is your fallopian tube, ampulla is part of a fallopian tube. What is chorionic villi? This is something you will study later on in the chapter when we'll be talking about pregnancy and implantation. Okay, so abhi ke liye usko chhod dete hain. Now let's move forward, beta. So the next question is on your screen. The next question is on your screen. So the question is, which of the following statements regarding female reproductive system are correct? Okay, you have to tell which of the following statements are correct or is correct. Maybe ho sakta hai ek statement correct or maybe multiple statements are correct. Okay, so the first statement is myometrium undergoes strong contraction at the time of delivery of baby. Ovary is secondary female sex organ which produces female gametes and steroid hormones. Ovarian stroma is divided into two zones, inner cortex and outer medulla. Infundibulum possesses finger-like projection which help in collection of the ovum after the release of secondary oocyte. A functional mammary gland is the characteristics of all mammals, including male and female. That is what your question is. That is what your question is. You have to identify how many of those statements are true. Again, each one of those statements I have talked about at length in the class. So all of you should be able to get this correct. Okay? Okay, jaldi se kar do beta. Okay, so I'll give you guys 30 more seconds to read the question and then we'll have a poll. Okay, because there is a lot of information in the question. So I'll give you guys a bit more time to go through the question and then we will start with it. Okay. Okay, so I'll read the statements once again. Myometrium undergoes strong contraction at the time of delivery of a baby. Ovary is secondary female sex organ which produces female gamete and steroid hormones. Ovarian stroma is divided into two zones, inner cortex and outer medulla. Infundibulum possesses finger-like projections which help in collection of ovum after the release of secondary oocyte. A functional mammary gland is the characteristics of all mammals, including male and female. Okay, chalo beta. So let's have a poll then. Now the poll is live on your screen. The poll is now live on your screen, beta. Get your votes in. Okay. Let's see. So far, 50% of you have voted. 50% of you. The other 50% can also vote, beta. Okay. 10 seconds and I'll wrap up the poll. 10 seconds and I'll wrap up the poll. Okay. Okay. 5 seconds and I'll wrap up the poll. 5 seconds and I'll wrap up the poll. Thank you very much, Kirtan. Okay. Chalo. Let's wrap up the poll. 3, 2, 1, and I'll stop. Let's stop. Okay, so there are some of you who always wait for me to end the poll and then you guys start voting. Okay, should not do that. Yeah, pehli vote kar do. Okay, so let's look at it. What do you think is the correct answer? So okay, so 48% of you think that one of the option is correct. Let's see. Let's read the statements individually and let's try to figure out whether they are correct or not. Okay, myometrium undergoes strong contraction at the time of the delivery of the baby. This is true. This is something I mentioned in yesterday's class. Also, there are 3 layers in the wall of uterus: perimetrium, myometrium, and endometrium. Myometrium is the middle layer filled with smooth muscles which undergoes contraction during delivery of the baby. Okay, now ovary is secondary female sex organ which produces female gamete and steroid hormone. It produces female gamete, that is true. It produces steroid hormone, that is also true. But what is wrong with the statement is it is not a secondary female organ. It is a primary female organ. It is a primary female sex organ, right? Primary sex organs are those in which gamete formation take place. So primary sex organ for male is testis and primary female sex organ is ovary. So Let's look at the next one. Ovarian stroma is divided into two zones, inner cortex and outer medulla. This is also wrong. It should be outer cortex and inner medulla. It should be outer cortex and inner medulla. Okay. Okay. So now after that, what you should have is, okay, I'll just erase these two. Okay. So now let's look at the next statement, beta. Infundibulum possesses finger-like projections which help in collection of ovum after the release of the secondary oocyte. This is true, right? They possess finger-like projections known as fimbriae, and fimbriae help in collection of the ovum after it has been released. Now let's look at the last statement. A functional mammary gland is a characteristic of all the mammals. This is wrong. Why is this wrong? Because it is not all the mammals. It is not present in a functional mammary gland is not present in males. It is present in females. So what is the correct statement? Your correct statement in the first and fourth. So A is the correct option, which 48% of you selected. Okay. So your correct option is option A. Done. Ho gaya sabka? Chalo. So now what is on today's agenda? So on today's agenda, we have the last portion of the breast that we were left with. We talked about your mammary glands. So we were left with your fibrous tissue and your adipose tissue. वो एक बार कर लेंगे, छोटा सा ही है. Okay. And after that, what we'll be doing is we'll be talking about your formation of gametes, gametogenesis. And in that, today we'll be talking about spermatogenesis. How are sperms formed? Okay. How are sperms formed in the male testis? That is what in today's agenda is. Okay. Beta, what is secondary oocyte? So this is something you will be learning in tomorrow's class. Okay, when I'll be talking about your oogenesis. Okay, so you have the primary oocyte, then you have the secondary oocyte. Basically, that is a more specific name for ovum. Okay, or kuch nahi. Okay, okay. So aage badhe. So let's move forward then. Okay, so as some of you said that you guys selected, just looked at the fifth statement and thought that was wrong. So based on that, you selected the first option, right? You can also do that, but it obviously, since it is my job to tell you what is wrong with each of those statements, that is something that I did. So let's start. So we are left with one last part of the breast. That was your fibrous tissue and your adipose tissue, right? So what is the function of the fibrous tissue? The function of the fibrous tissue supports the alveoli and the ducts. What is the function of the fibrous tissue in the breast? So yesterday we focused only on the mammary glands of the breast, right? We talked about your mammary lobules, okay, in which you have your alveoli cells. Alveoli produce milk, store it in the cavities, right? From there, the milk goes to your mammary duct, okay, sorry, mammary tubule, then mammary duct, then ampulla, then lactiferous duct, and then it comes out through the nipple, right? So we were left with your fibrous tissue and your adipose tissue, because if you remember, I told that breast contains of three important things, that is your mammary glands, your fibrous tissue, and your adipose tissue. So what is the function of fibrous tissue? Mammary glands involved in production of milk. Fibrous tissue supports the alveoli and the ducts. So all the alveoli cells that you see in the breast, all the ducts that you see in the breast. So the function of fibrous tissue is to support those alveoli and the ducts. Okay. Next, the fatty or adipose tissue is found between the lobes and covers the surface of the gland. So the mammary glands are covered by your adipose tissue. The mammary glands are covered by your adipose tissue. Okay. And the amount of adipose tissue determines the size of the breast. The amount of the adipose tissue determines the size of the breast. Okay. All females have 15 to 20 mammary lobules. Okay. But it is the amount of adipose tissue that determines the size of the breast. Athar, we talked about milk formation yesterday, beta, so I will not be getting into today. Okay, I will not be getting into that today because we talked about that yesterday. Okay, so what is the function of the fibrous tissue, beta? The function of the fibrous tissue is to support the mammary glands, to support the alveoli and the ducts, Okay, and what is the function? Okay, and what is the function of the adipose tissue? The function of adipose tissue, okay, so adipose tissue determines the size of the breast. 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 Okay, Is this clear to everybody better? Just give me a quick yes or no. There were just two last components that I could not cover because we ran out of time. So is this clear to everybody? Okay, that is your fibrous tissue and your adipose tissue. Okay, Atharv, in this diagram, beta, the fibrous tissue is not shown. In this diagram, the fibrous tissue is not shown. Okay, okay. So I'll move forward. To some extent, Pritish, but not a lot. To some extent, it depends. It also depends the size of the. So obviously, if a female consumes a lot of food that is rich in fatty acids, right, then obviously it will have some effect on the size of the breast, but not by that much. Okay, not by that much. Okay, okay. So let's move forward then. Okay, so now let's talk about your hormonal control of the female reproductive system. So we talked about the hormonal control of the male reproductive system. So let's talk about your hormonal control of the female reproductive system. So we know that hypothalamus secretes what? Gonadotropin releasing hormone, GnRH, right? Hypothalamus secretes gonadotropin releasing hormone, and that stimulates the anterior pituitary to release luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone onto the ovary. And as a result of that, what happens is the ovary produces estrogen and progesterone. The ovary produces estrogen and progesterone. Okay? And estrogen and progesterone are very important for your development of the endometrial layer. This is something we'll be studying in more detail when we'll be talking about menstrual cycle and how hormones change during different phases of the menstrual cycle. Okay? So your hypothalamus produces gonadotropin releasing hormone, which acts on the anterior pituitary, which releases your follicle stimulating hormone. The follicle stimulating hormone acts on the ovary, and as a result of that, what happens is, the ovary starts producing estrogen and progesterone. Now, during the middle days of your menstrual cycle, that is your 12 to 14 days, when your ovulation happens, the estrogen and the progesterone have a positive feedback cycle. Okay, that is, increase in the concentration of estrogen and progesterone increases the release of gonadotropin releasing hormone for the hypothalamus, which in turn again increases the secretion of the follicle stimulating hormone. And this is important so that ovulation can occur, because for ovulation these hormones are required in high concentration. But once ovulation has happened, then these hormones act as a negative feedback cycle. If ovulation has happened, pregnancy has not taken place, then you do not need the endometrial layer. And the endometrial layer is maintained by your progesterone hormone. So since endometrial layer is not needed, it acts as a negative feedback cycle that, pregnancy has not taken place, I do not need the endometrial layer. So let's tone down the amount of gonadotropin hormone that is being released by the hypothalamus. As a result of that, a chain effect takes place and the further hormone suppression also takes place. Okay? So to summarize everything up, your hypothalamus secretes gonadotropin releasing hormone, something that you studied in 22nd chapter of your last class. Okay, that is 11th standard. And gonadotropin hormone acts on the anterior pituitary, and what it does is it causes release of luteinizing hormone and follicle stimulating hormone. Their function is to make sure that the ovum is released by the ovary. Okay? And because of the act of the luteinizing hormone, ovary also produces estrogen and progesterone. During the middle of the menstrual cycle, the estrogen and the progesterone have a positive feedback cycle, because that is when the chance of the pregnancy are the highest. So they want those hormones to be in as high concentration as possible. But if the pregnancy does not take place, then the endometrial layer, which was developed, does not serve any purpose. Then what happens is the estrogen and the progesterone have a negative feedback cycle that, pregnancy has not taken place, all our effort has gone into waste. So let's suppress the release of these hormones because we don't need these hormones anymore. And then when a fresh menstrual cycle takes place, then the entire cycle is repeated. Okay? Okay, so is this clear to everybody? Better give me a yes or no. Is the hormonal control of female reproductive system clear to everybody? Sabko samjha kya? Okay, so shall I move forward? Okay, so I'll move forward then. Estrogen and what, Anushri? Estrogen and what? progesterone. Beta, this is something we'll be talking about in much more detail as we'll move forward. Okay, estrogen serves a completely different purpose, and progesterone serves a completely different purpose in female reproductive system. Okay, when we'll be talking about your menstrual cycle, then we'll be looking at these hormones in much more detail. Okay, Athar, negative feedback cycle is all about the fact that if pregnancy does not take place, then estrogen and progesterone cause a suppression in gonadotropin releasing hormone and luteinizing hormone. बस इतना सा है, ठीक है? How to determine positive and negative feedback cycle? Beta, what is positive feedback cycle? Where the end result is causing the production of more end result. Negative feedback cycle kya hai? Where your end result is causing the suppression of the end result. This is something we studied in 10th standard also, in 11th standard also. Okay. Why can't endometrial layer be there all the time? Because beta, anything in your body that lives requires a lot of energy, right? So if endometrial layer is there throughout the life of a female, right? So the body is expending a lot of energy to maintain the endometrial layer, right? So that is why it is only maintained for the first 15 to 20 days, and after that, if it is not required, it is broken down, because at least you will save energy for the next 8 to 10 days. Okay, okay, Sukanya, just check your internet once here. Okay, okay. So obviously, Dhanush, the chances of pregnancy are the highest in the 10 to 16 days. During that time frame, the egg is released. Again, something that we'll be talking about in much more detail moving forward. Okay, so shall I move forward then? Clear to everybody? Okay, so a couple of people had doubts. I cleared them up. So let's move forward now. Now let's talk about your disorders of female reproductive system. Okay, so we talked about your male disorders of male reproductive system. Let's talk about your disorders of the female reproductive system. Let's talk about first breast cancer. What is breast cancer? As the name suggests, cancer of the breast. Okay, so what is that? Development of tumor in the mammary glands. Development of tumor in the mammary glands, that is known as your breast cancer. That is known as your breast cancer. No, Dhanush, that is wrong, beta. Okay, okay. And what is the standard procedure for treatment of breast cancer? The standard treatment for breast cancer is mastectomy. Okay, and what is your mastectomy? Your mastectomy is removal of the breast. So if it is okay, tumor means what? Beta, tumor means tumor means what? Beta, tumor means an outgrowth of cell. Tumor means an outgrowth of cells, okay, which divide very rapidly. Okay, which divide very rapidly. Okay, and in this outgrowth, the cells are not dying as fast as they're being reproduced. So as a result of that, you see a lump in a breast. Okay, so one of the common ways by which female detects breast cancer is by checking their breast for lumps. If they find any lumps, that might be an indication of breast cancer, and then they're advised to visit a gynecologist. Yes, beta, tumor can happen anywhere in the body. Okay, tumor can happen anywhere in the body. When tumor happens in the breast, it is known as breast cancer. Okay, okay. No, beta, breast cancer does not happen in males. Okay, what is lump? What is lump? Lump, yaar. What is lump? Closely, tightly packed things in a small place. I would call that lump. I am not sure about that, Anil. I'm not sure about that. Okay, so Ravi, if it's a benign tumor, then maybe by surgery you can just remove the benign tumor. But if it's a malignant tumor, then you have to remove the entire breast here. It depends on what kind of tumor there is. Okay. Okay. No, Pritish, it will not. No. Okay. Chalo. That was your breast cancer. That was your breast cancer. The next one is ovarian cyst. Okay, which is also known as oophorocystosis. Okay, oophorocystosis or ovarian cyst. Now, what are ovarian cysts? Okay, what are ovarian cysts? So, ovarian cysts are fluid-filled tumors of the ovary. So, ovarian cysts are fluid-filled tumors of the ovary. So, when your tumor occurs in the ovary and is filled with fluid, then you call it ovarian cyst or oophorocystosis Okay, how does breast cancer occur, beta? Cancer can occur because of many reasons. Okay, it can occur because of the genes that you have. It can also occur because of carcinogens like smoking cigarettes or drinking alcohol. Okay, so it can occur because of multiple things. Okay, 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 and okay. Last time, I'm telling this for the last time. Yes, beta, I know notes of yesterday's class have not been uploaded in the drive. I will upload. Beta, I take 5 classes every day. I have to prepare for those 5 classes. I do not have a lot of time on my hand. So when I'll get time, soon I'll update it. Chinta mat karo, you will get those notes very soon. Okay? Please do not point the same thing again and again. I know I have not uploaded the notes, beta. That is part of my job. Mujhe pata hai. Okay? ठीक है, चलो, so that is your ovarian cyst or your oophorocystosis. When there are tumors in the ovary which are filled with fluid, okay, those are known as ovarian cysts. Those are known as ovarian cysts. Okay. Now, next is what? Next is ectopic pregnancy. Next is ectopic pregnancy. What is ectopic pregnancy? When there is implantation of embryo at a place other than the uterus, then that is known as ectopic pregnancy. That is known as ectopic pregnancy. So if the zygote gets implanted somewhere else, okay, that is, let's say it gets implanted in the oviduct. Usually in some cases it gets implanted in the oviduct, then that is known as ectopic pregnancy. And if not treated very early on, it can be fatal for the female. It can be fatal for the female. So Abhishek is asking, how do we get to know about this? Okay, so beta, the female has an intense pain near her abdomen region, because fallopian tube is not the place. Fallopian tube is not the place where the zygote should get implanted, because if it gets implanted there, as it will grow, it will push against the wall of the fallopian tube. So females experience intense abdominal pain. And yes, Anil, I know I told about this in school. So when you go to the doctor will do an ultrasound and they will tell you if you have an ectopic pregnancy or not. Okay, and obviously the only cure of ectopic pregnancy is to get rid of the embryo. Okay, and so can the embryo be saved? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Can the embryo be saved? If I have to take an educated guess, I would say probably not. Okay, so ectopic pregnancy can be fatal for the female. If not detected early, the embryo can rupture the fallopian tube. Okay, which can be fatal for the female. Okay. Okay. Veerbhadra, it can get implanted on its own, beta. Okay. 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 So now let's move forward. Okay. I'm getting a lot of doubts here. So if by some reason I miss out anybody's doubt here, please forgive me. Okay. There's nothing. I don't have anything against any of you. It's just that I'm getting a lot of doubts here. So I'm just trying to get my doubts through this. I'm not sure here. I'm not sure, Pritish. To answer your question, I'm not sure. How does ectopic pregnancy occur? What are the factors leading to it? I'm not sure. Sometimes what happens is, we know that the fertilization takes place in the ampulla region of the fallopian tube. Maybe while coming out, it gets stuck there. What are the reasons because of which it could get stuck there? I'm not sure here. I'm not sure. Okay. 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 Chalo. Now let's move forward. Sahana, I have not heard about it, beta. I'll look into it and maybe let you know. Okay. Yes, Dhanush, they do move from fallopian tube to uterus, but sometimes they get stuck in the fallopian tube. Okay. Okay. So now let's move to the next one. The next one is endometriosis. What is endometriosis? Endometriosis is growth of endometrial tissue outside the uterus. So we know that endometrial layer is the innermost layer of the uterus. Okay, which undergoes periodic sloughing. Okay, that is known as menstrual cycle. So if the endometrial tissue is found in anywhere else outside the uterus, that is known as endometriosis. That is known as endometriosis. Okay, so what all did we study in this one? Breast cancer, then your ovarian cyst, then your ectopic pregnancy, and then your endometriosis, Okay. Shashwat, I do not understand your doubt here. I do not understand your doubt. Okay. Okay. Obviously, beta, obviously there is ovarian cancer also. Okay. There are a lot of things here. You can have cancer of anything here. Okay. So I'm just focusing on the major diseases that are prevalent in the human females. Okay. Rahul, I do not understand it. Because, okay, one more thing here. If you're typing something in the chat, please, form coherent sentences. Okay. Because then I spend a lot of time deciphering your messages. Code word use like right, have likhna hai beta, proper have likh do na. How much time does it take to write have? You guys write this, then I have to figure out what does that mean. Okay, So please, if you're writing something, write it properly. Okay. Otherwise it becomes problematic. And do not write stuff again and again. Okay. It's okay. If I by chance miss out on any of your doubts, stay back after the class, I'll clear it up. Okay. Otherwise, kya hota hai, keep seeing the same doubt again and again. And in all those doubts, you're writing it, you're not forming your sentences correctly. Beta, I am not that well versed with your lingo. Okay. So please write it properly. Okay. Take care. Yes, Rahul, I have mentioned important disorders, but I have not mentioned all the disorders because there are a lot of disorders that exist in female reproductive system. Okay. So one second. What is the function of endometriosis? Beta, endometriosis is not a function. Endometriosis is a disease. When you have growth of endometrial layer at other places apart from the uterus, that is known as endometriosis. Okay. Yes, beta. PCOD or PCOS is also a disorder of the female. Okay. Can you explain the second point again? Beta, the second point is ovarian cyst. What are ovarian cysts? Ovarian cysts are nothing but tumors filled with fluid in the ovary. Bas itna yaad rakhna. What are ovarian cysts? Ovarian cysts are tumors filled with fluid in the ovary. Okay. Let's move forward here. I'm getting a lot of doubts. Okay. Stay back after the class. I'll clear them up. Okay. So let's move forward now. Okay. Now let's talk about a couple of more diseases. Okay. So then there is infertility. What is infertility, beta? Infertility is when the woman is unable to become pregnant, right? Just like we talked about infertility in males. So infertility in males could be because of a lot of things, because of low sperm count, damaged sperms, okay, or sperms not being of proper shape, or sperms not being motile enough. So that leads to infertility in males. Infertility in women is when women cannot become pregnant. Again, that can also be because of multiple reasons. Okay. So what could be the reason? Maybe eggs are not being produced. Maybe the endometrial layer cannot support. A growing zygote. Right. So that could be another reason. So again, there can be multiple, or maybe the female body is unable to support the growing embryo. So there could be multiple reasons for the infertility in women. Okay. Now, obviously, we have a lot of techniques with which we can get past these infertilities. Okay. But what is infertility in women? When the woman is unable to become pregnant. Could be because of many reasons. Maybe her hormones are imbalanced, right? Maybe egg is not being produced. Maybe her endometrial layer cannot support pregnancy. So it could be because of multiple reasons. Okay. Then there are menstrual disorders. Okay. Disorders of the menstrual cycle are known as menstrual disorders. The first one that we have is amenorrhea. What is amenorrhea? Amenorrhea is absence of menstruation. So when a female has hit her puberty, even if she is not getting her periods, right? That condition is known as amenorrhea. Okay. So even if a female has reached the age of 18, 19, 20, she's still not experiencing periods. That means there is something, or a menstrual cycle. That means there is something wrong with her female reproductive system. And that condition is known as amenorrhea. Okay. It could be again because of multiple reasons. Most probable reason is because of imbalance of hormones. Okay. Now the next one that we have is menorrhagia. What is menorrhagia? Menorrhagia is excessive menstruation. Dhanush, focus on the topic, beta. You are getting off topic. Okay. Menorrhagia is excessive menstruation. So if there is way too much blood loss during the menstruation, that is known as menorrhagia. And the last one is dysmenorrhea. What is dysmenorrhea? Dysmenorrhea is painful menstruation. Okay. So what are the three disorders of menstrual cycle? You have your amenorrhea. That is your absence of menstruation. Okay. Then you have menorrhagia, which is excessive menstruation. If too much blood is being lost during menstruation, or the menstrual cycle is prolonging beyond the 3-4 days stipulated time, that is known as menorrhagia. Okay. And then you have dysmenorrhea. Which is known as painful menstruation. Okay. But I know menstruation in general are painful, but when they are beyond the level of tolerance. That is known as dysamenorrhea. Okay, when you cannot bear the pain and you have to go to a doctor, it's so painful. Even after taking a painkiller, it's not helping. That is known as dysamenorrhea. That is known as dysamenorrhia. Yes, Rohit. Yes. ठीक है. बेटा रोहित अभी बोला मैं बार-बार मत टाइप करो. एक बार टाइप कर दिया मुझे दिख गया. ठीक है. Okay. Pritish, no. The levels are very low or the levels are imbalanced. That is why no periods are experienced. ठीक है. Okay. Pranjal, I do not understand your question, beta. Okay. So Sanjana, if menstrual cycle has not even started even after reaching the age of 17, 18, then there might be some problem. Okay. In that case, the person should visit a gynecologist. In that case, the person should visit a gynecologist. Okay. So that is what amenorrhea is. Okay. Ravi beta, there is no other way. There is no other way, right? To it's just you have to remember this. Amenorrhea, okay, that is absence. Usually, am means absent. Okay. Then you have your menorrhagia, which is excessive menstruation, and then you have your dysamenorrhea. This means something that is dysfunctional, so painful menstruation. Okay. 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 You guys are okay. Dekho beta. Please, if you're asking doubts, stick to the subject here. You guys are asking, sir, why is prenatal test not allowed and all that stuff, right? वो सब मत पूछो यार. That is all that extra stuff. Class के बाद रुक के पूछ लो. More than happy to clear all that out. Okay? ठीक है. Rohit, so it could be again because of multiple reasons, yeah. It could be again because of multiple reasons. Most probable reason for menstrual disorders is imbalance in the female hormone. That is the most probable reason. Okay. Dhanush, not relevant to the topic that I'm teaching right now. If you ask questions that I think are not relevant to the topic, I will not answer them. Okay. Okay, because I have to maintain this policy, because I think I've given you guys too much leeway where you guys keep on asking doubts. Okay. Okay. What is the difference between female having amenorrhea and males? Beta, females should have menstrual cycle. So if menstrual cycles are absent, then that is known as amenorrhea. Males do not have menstrual cycle, so you cannot compare those two situations. Okay. Okay. So are the disorders of female reproductive system clear to everybody? Give me a yes or no, beta. Are the disorders of female reproductive system clear to everybody? Aage badhe fir? Shall I move forward then? Okay, let's move forward. Thank you very much. Okay, so now let's talk about your gametogenesis. Okay. Okay. Which hormones helps in menstrual cycle? Beta, will be talking about that in tomorrow's class. Okay. Okay. So let's talk about it. Gametogenesis. What is gametogenesis, beta? So it is a process by which male and female sex cells or gametes, that is sperms and ova, are formed. That is your gametogenesis. So gametogenesis is formation of gametes. Simple bhasha mein bole to formation of gametes is known as gametogenesis, and it occurs in both fertile males and fertile females. Okay. The formation of sperms is termed as spermatogenesis, and that of ova is known as oogenesis. So spermatogenesis, okay, no Soumya. So spermatogenesis is formation of sperms, oogenesis is formation of ova or egg. Okay. So what is spermatogenesis? Spermatogenesis is formation of sperms. Okay. And then your oogenesis is formation of eggs. Your oogenesis is formation of eggs. Okay. Okay. So today what we'll be doing is, we'll be talking about spermatogenesis, how sperms are formed, and then we'll look at a sperm. What are the structures? What are the different structures of a sperm? Okay. So let's move forward then. Let's talk about your spermatogenesis. Where does spermatogenesis occurs? पहले भी बताया था first class में, spermatogenesis occurs in the seminiferous tubules, right? Seminiferous tubules are the places where your spermatogenesis occurs. और मैंने बताया था that seminiferous tubules are lined by germinal epithelium. That is, the seminiferous tubule have an epithelium which is capable of giving rise to your male germ cells. So that is why it is called germinal epithelium. Okay. And what is the germinal epithelium made up of? So the germinal epithelium largely consists of cuboidal primary or primordial germ cells, right? So your your germinal epithelium consists of two types of cell. ये भी बताया था, primary germ cells and Sertoli cells right? So your seminiferous tubules contain germinal epithelium. Your seminiferous tubule contains germinal epithelium. And what does this germinal epithelium? This germinal epithelium consists of two types of cells. What are the two types of cells? The two types of cells are primary germ cells, and then you have your Sertoli cells, which are also known as nurse cells, right? Your primary germ cells give rise to your sperm. Your Sertoli cells give nourishment to the sperm. ये भी मैंने बताया था first lecture में, ठीक है? So is this clear to everybody, beta? So far so good. Just give me a yes or no. 1 second. So far so good. Just give me a quick yes or no, beta. 1 second. Yeah. So far so good, everybody. So I'll move forward then. Okay, let's move forward then. Sure. Now let's talk about your spermatogenesis and how exactly does that take place. So that was a introduction of spermatogenesis. Now let's talk about how does spermatogenesis takes place. Okay. So okay, what is germinal epithelium, beta? Germinal epithelium is the epithelium which gives rise to sperms, right? So that is why it's called germinal epithelium, because germinal epithelium comes from the word germinating. Your sperms are germinating from that epithelium. That is why we call it germinal epithelium. Okay. Chalo. Now at sexual maturity, what happens is undifferentiated primary germ cells divide several times by mitosis. Very important. They divide by mitosis to produce a large number of spermatogonia. चिंता मत करो, यहाँ पे भी एक मैं flow chart दूंगा. I will give you guys a flow chart here also, so that you can understand. Okay. Shashwat, I fail to understand what you're saying, beta. I fail to understand what you're trying to say. Okay. So please write it properly so that I can understand, beta. मैं बुजुर्ग आदमी हूँ, 40 साल मेरी उम्र है. I fail to understand slang of the internet. Okay, no, I'm not 40, but yeah. Anyway, so what happens at puberty? So when a male hits puberty, then your primary germ cells divide by mitosis to form spermatogonia. Divide by mitosis, very important. They divide by mitosis to give rise to spermatogonia. Okay, and each spermatogonium is diploid and contains 46 chromosomes. तो यहाँ पे भी 46 chromosomes हैं और यहाँ पे भी 46 chromosomes हैं, because we are undergoing mitosis. ठीक है? What is spermatogonia, beta? Spermatogonia are the cells that are produced by primary germ cells when they undergo mitosis. ठीक है? How can we understand the male has undergone puberty? Beta, when a male hits puberty, the testes start producing testosterone and the male start experiencing changes in their physical body. The voice cracks, shoulder become broad, growth of the facial hair, penis starts becoming erect. 10th standard में पढ़ा था वो सब. So those are the changes which indicate that a male has hit puberty. ठीक है? Okay. हाँ बेटा शाश्वत पहले बताए तो अब निकल पता लग जाता ना. अभी इतना निकल गया. First and second points again. Okay. बताता हूँ. I'll explain it again. Okay. 60 to 70 days for this. No beta, इतना टाइम नहीं लगता बेटा. Okay, no Chetan, spermatogonia is not equal to sperm. अभी हम sperm नहीं बनाया है. अभी first step ही हुआ है. That is primary germ cells has given rise to spermatogonia और कुछ नहीं. ठीक है? Now, what is next? Spermatogonia actively grows to a larger primary spermatocyte by obtaining nourishment from the nursing cells. What are the nursing cells? The nursing cells are your Sertoli cells, right? So what happens after this is spermatogonia turns into primary spermatocytes. Primary spermatocytes. Okay? Primary spermatocytes. Okay? And how does this happen? This happens because of nourishment from Sertoli cells. This happens because of nourishment of Sertoli cells. Okay? Okay, so I'll explain the first 2 points again. I'll explain the entire thing again. First thing क्या होता है? Your germline consists of two types of cells: primary germ cells and your Sertoli cells. your primary germ cells undergo mitosis and give rise to spermatogonia okay हाँ बेटा सुकन्या वेट करो अभी आएगा gives rise to spermatogonia and by mitosis, and then spermatogonia grows by taking nourishment from Sertoli cells and turn into primary spermatocytes. So they also contain 46 chromosomes. Okay, so far so good. Just give me a yes or no beta. यहाँ तक सबको समझा क्या? Is the flow chart till here clear to everybody? Just give me a yes or no. Okay. Dhanush, yes, in layman terms you can say that beta. So far so good. I'll move forward then. Okay, let's move forward now. Let's look at the next step. Then. Now, let's look at the next step. So now, हमने primary spermatocyte तक बना लिया. After that, what happens is each primary spermatocyte undergoes two successive divisions called maturation division. So now primary spermatocyte will divide. कैसे divide करता है भी बताते हैं. Primary spermatocyte will now divide. Okay. Now, these two divisions are known as maturation divisions. Now, the primary spermatocytes completes the first meiotic division. So the two divisions which are known as maturation divisions, they are nothing but actually meiotic division. So it completes its first meiotic division, which leads to formation of two equal haploid cells called secondary spermatocytes. अभी क्या बोल रहा है? Starting से देखते हैं. So starting you had primary germ cells. Okay? Now primary germ cells underwent mitosis and gave rise to what? And gave rise to your spermatogonia. Okay, by mitosis. Then spermatogonia grows and turns into primary spermatocytes. Okay? 46 chromosomes here, 46 chromosomes here, 46 chromosomes here. Now it will undergo first meiotic division. It will undergo first meiotic division. Okay, यहाँ पे क्या हुआ? Meiosis 1. What happened here? Meiosis 1. So in first meiotic division, it will give rise to secondary spermatocytes. And what are the chromosome number of secondary spermatocytes? 23, which have only 23 chromosomes each. Okay? And after that, what happens is the secondary spermatocytes undergo second meiotic division to produce 4 equal haploid spermatids. Okay? So secondary spermatocytes will now undergo meiosis 2. And they will give rise to your spermatids. Okay? And spermatids have how many chromosomes? 23. The number of chromosomes are very important. Direct question aata hai. How many chromosomes are there in spermatogonia? How many chromosomes are there in primary spermatocytes? And then you end up with spermatids. So what is the first step? Your first step is beta, primary germ cells undergoing mitosis to give rise to spermatogonia. Okay? Sakshi, focus on the flow chart. Language apne aap samajh aa jayega. I know that some of you guys have trouble understanding the language. Look at the flow chart, you will understand everything. Then after that, spermatogonia grows by receiving nourishment from Sertoli cells. By receiving nourishment from one second. By receiving nourishment from by receiving nourishment from Sertoli cells. They grow into primary spermatocytes. यहाँ तक पिछले क्लास में किया, last slide में किया था. Now after that, primary spermatocytes undergoes meiosis 1 and gives rise to 2 secondary spermatocytes which contain half the number of chromosomes, because we know that in meiosis the number of chromosomes get half. Okay? And after that, the secondary spermatocytes undergo meiosis 2 to give rise to spermatids. Okay, so one primary germ cell gives rise to 4 spermatids, because we know that in meiosis you end up with 4 daughter cells. Okay, so it is very important to remember. Now tell me beta, ye samjha kya sabko? Is the process of spermatogenesis clear to everybody? You remember this flow chart? Sab yaad rahega. Okay, is the process of spermatogenesis clear to everybody? Okay, is it clear to everybody now? Shall I move forward then? Aage badhe? Only 30 people have said yes. I am assuming everybody is clear with this, since you are not responding with the no. Okay, so I'll move forward then. Okay, sure. So there is a figure also. Obviously, there is a figure which I've taken to help you guys understand this better. Okay, so this is your, let's zoom in beta. This is your spermatogonia. This is your spermatogonia. Spermatogonia turns into primary spermatocytes by getting nourishment from Sertoli cells. By getting nourishment from Sertoli cells. Okay. Shashwat, do not take screenshot beta. Notes jal diye jayenge, ghabrao mat. Now, after that, what happens is meiosis 1 happens, and you end up with 2 secondary spermatocytes. 2 secondary spermatocytes. Then meiosis 2 happens, and you end up with 4 spermatids. And you end up with 4 spermatids. Very important to keep in mind their ploidy. Very important to keep in mind their ploidy. Okay. So the ploidy is what? 2n here, 2n here, n here, then n here, and here. It's very important to remember the ploidy beta. Okay. Okay. So Anushri, during fertilization, 23 chromosomes will be there. Then during I do not understand your doubt, Anushri. If you can repeat yourself again, I would be able to help you. Okay. So that was a figure on spermatogenesis. That was a figure on spermatogenesis. Okay. So abhi hum kahan tak pahunche? We have reached till here. We have reached till here. That is your spermatids. We have reached till here. That is your spermatids. Okay. Okay. Now after that, what happens? After that, what happens? Now, the spermatids get the spermatids get transformed into spermatozoa. Okay. The transformation of spermatids into spermatozoa. Beta 23, Anushri, beta 23. Okay. And this process is known as spermiogenesis or spermatogenesis. Okay. In your textbook, they mention spermiogenesis. Okay. What is spermiogenesis? Spermiogenesis is transformation of spermatids into spermatozoa. Okay. And spermatozoa are later known as sperms. So sperms is the common layman term that we use. The technical name for it is spermatozoa. So if we go back to the figure, right? If we go back to the figure, this process, that is conversion of spermatid into sperm, that process is known as what? That process is known as spermiogenesis. So this process is known as spermiogenesis. So the conversion of your spermatid into sperm is known as spermiogenesis. Okay. Advait, kya kehte hain? The decision of XY chromosomes happened during this entire process, beta. When the meiosis is taking place, then the XY chromosome is decided. Where the X chromosome will go, where the Y chromosome will go. Okay. Okay. So that is what spermiogenesis is. Okay. What is spermiogenesis, beta? Spermiogenesis is the one second. Here, one second, guys. Okay. So spermiogenesis is the process of conversion of spermatid into spermatozoa. Spermatozoa is nothing but a technical name for sperms. Okay. That is what biologists and researchers use instead of sperms, right? So the process of conversion of spermatids, okay, into sperms or spermatozoa, they can be used interchangeably. That process is known as spermiogenesis. Okay. Anushri, twins कैसे होते हैं बाद में कभी बताऊंगा. ठीक है. Okay. Beta, spermatogenesis is formation of sperms. Spermiogenesis is your conversion of spermatids into sperms. ठीक है. Okay. ठीक है. आगे बढ़े फिर. Okay. Now Very important, remember, 4 sperms are formed from 1 spermatogonium. Again, if you go back to the figure, beta, there was 1 spermatogonium and you ended up with 4 sperms. Okay? So 1 spermatogonium gives rise to your 4 sperms. 1 spermato. Okay. What is spermatozoa, beta? Spermatozoa is nothing but a technical name for sperm. Okay? Or kuch nahi, beta. Researchers, or whenever you are publishing a medical journal, they use the term spermatozoa instead of sperms. That is a technical name. Chinta mat karo. You can use sperms and spermatozoa interchangeably. Ghabrao mat beta. Okay. So what was I saying? That 1 spermatogonia or 1 spermatogonium gives rise to your 4 sperms. Okay. Now, after spermiogenesis, what happens is, after spermiogenesis, sperm heads become embedded in Sertoli cells. So sperms to ban gaye, right? Sperms have been found, and now what happens is they get embedded in the Sertoli cells for nourishment. So the head portion of the sperm gets embedded in the Sertoli cells, and then they are finally released from the seminiferous tubules by the process called spermiation. What is spermiation? Release of sperms from the seminiferous tubule. देखो थोड़ा similar sounding terms है, तो एक बार लिख देता हूं. What is spermatogenesis? Beta? Spermatogenesis is formation of sperms. ठीक है? What is spermiogenesis? क्योंकि सब में sperms आ रहा है तो कंफ्यूज मत हो जाना. What is spermiogenesis? Conversion of spermatids into sperms. That is your spermiogenesis. Okay, that is your spermiogenesis. What is your spermiation? Your spermiation is okay, release of sperms from seminiferous tubule. This is not equal to ejaculation. Okay, ejaculation is when the sperms are released from the male body. Spermiation is release of sperm from seminiferous tubule. So this is not equal to ejaculation. Confuse mat ho jana. Okay? So is this clear to everybody? Beta, give me a yes or no. Is this clear to everybody? So I hope, Chetan, I cleared up your doubt, beta. Okay? Is this clear to everybody? That is what is spermatogenesis, spermiogenesis, and what is spermiation. Sabko samjha kya? All these 3 terms. So I'll move forward then. Chalo, let's move forward then. Okay? I'll just erase this one. Okay, let's move forward then. Now, let's move. Okay? Yes, Samruddhi, as I mentioned, the sperms get stored in the epididymis. So from seminiferous tubule, they go to epididymis where they are stored until they are ready to be released. Okay? So now let's look at your sperm or your spermatozoa. Dhanush, last step kuch nahi tha beta. Last step was your spermiation. That is when the sperms go from your seminiferous tubule to epididymis. That is known as spermiation. Okay? Chalo, let's talk about your spermatozoa or sperm. Okay, we'll talk about your sperm in detail. Now, sperms are microscopic and motile cells. They are microscopic, that is, you can see them under a microscope, and they are motile because of the presence of a very long tail. Now, sperms remain alive and retain their ability to fertilize from 24 to 48 hours after having been released in the female genital tract. So if they are released in the female genital tract, then they can remain viable for 24 to 48 hours. Okay? And what does this sperm consist of? A mammalian sperm consists of head, neck, middle piece, and tail. In your textbook, they have not used neck. They have just mentioned 3 parts. तो अगर तुम्हें नीट में क्वेश्चन आया, go with head, middle piece and tail. But in most of the references, they have mentioned 4 parts: head, neck, middle piece and tail. Okay, in your textbook they have not used neck, they have used head, middle piece and tail, but you can use 4 terms also: head, neck, middle piece and tail. Head, neck, middle piece and tail. Okay, okay, now let's move forward then. Beta, they are in micrometers, beta. Okay, so now let's talk about your head. Let's talk about your head of this sperm. Okay, let's talk about your head of this sperm. Now, head contains anterior small acrosome and posterior large nucleus. Anterior small acrosome matlab kya? At the front there is a small acrosome, and at the back of the head there is a big nucleus. Okay, that is what the first statement means. At the front there is a small acrosome, at the back there's a big nucleus. Okay, now acrosome is formed from Golgi body of the spermatid. So obviously spermatid are cells, so they will contain Golgi bodies. So the Golgi bodies of the cell give rise to acrosome. But what exactly is acrosome? What is its function? Nucleus का function पता है. Nucleus carries your genetic material. 23 chromosomes हैं. एक के साथ fuse करेगा, you will get 46 chromosomes. But what is the function of acrosome? Now, acrosome contains hyaluronidase proteolytic enzyme. It contains a proteolytic enzyme which is hyaluronidase, and okay, which is also popularly known as sperm license, which are also known as popularly sperm license. And what is their function? Their function is to contact and penetrate the egg at the time of the fertilization. So the egg is covered by a layer known as zona pellucida. Okay, पढ़ेंगे इसके बारे में कल, चिंता मत करो. So what is the function of acrosome? It releases those proteolytic enzyme so that the nucleus can enter, so that the nucleus of the sperm can enter the egg. So what is the function of the acrosome? The function of the acrosome is to allow the sperm to penetrate the egg. Okay, because it contains enzymes. Okay, so what is the function of acrosome? Your acrosome contains sperm license. Okay, sperm license, which are nothing but proteolytic enzymes, which are nothing but proteolytic enzymes. Okay, ठीक है. Hyaluronidase beta, it is a digestive protein. ठीक है ना? Okay, so now what does it do beta? What is its function? Its function is to let the sperm penetrate. So penetration of sperm, that is the function of your acrosome. Okay, so is the head portion of the sperm clear to everybody? Beta, give me a yes or no. Is the head portion clear to everybody? Okay, is the head portion clear to everybody? Okay, why is the digestive enzyme present? Beta, the digestive enzyme is present so that the outer layer of the egg can be degraded and then the nucleus can penetrate. Okay, so that the nucleus can enter the egg. Okay, Sakshi beta, ये flow chart देखो beta. Sakshi, look at this flow chart. Acrosome में sperm license होते हैं, which are nothing but proteolytic enzyme, and the proteolytic enzymes help in penetration of the sperm. Kishore, भाई last point है, look at the flow chart. ठीक है, acrosome contains proteolytic enzymes, that is enzymes that can degrade protein. And why do they contain these enzymes? So that the sperm can penetrate the egg. ठीक है, चलो let's move forward then. That was your head portion. Now let's talk about your neck portion. ठीक है, now neck is very short and is present between head and middle piece. ठीक है, neck is very short and is present between head and middle piece. Beta, sperm license are nothing but proteins present in the sperm head which can degrade the outer wall of the ovary, और कुछ नहीं बेटा. ठीक है, चलो. Now what is present in the neck? Neck contains two centrioles. Neck contains two centrioles, proximal centriole and distal centriole. It contains, okay, it can no Jyoti, no. Sperm do not contain blood vessels, beta. Individual cell में blood vessels थोड़ी ना होते हैं. Blood vessels are present in tissues. Okay, anyway. So the neck contains two centrioles, proximal centriole and distal centriole. And both of them serve a very important function. Okay, what is the function of proximal centriole? If you look at here, if you look at the figure closely, okay, this small region which I've colored with red, that is your proximal centriole. That is your proximal centriole. Okay, and the one below it, this region, that is your distal centriole. That is your distal centriole, and both of them are present in the neck region. This is your neck region. Okay, okay. Now what is their function? Proximal centriole is towards the nucleus. Yes, as you can see, proximal centriole is the above one, and it is Dhanush aa raha hu beta, functions kya hai usi pe aa raha hu, sabr rakho. So proximal centrioles are towards the nucleus, and what is their function? Their function is they play a role in the first cleavage of the zygote. What does that mean? So when a sperm and an egg fuse, you end up with a zygote. Zygote is unicellular. After that, what happens is the zygote turns into a multicellular baby. Uske liye kya chahiye? Uske liye division chahiye. So the first division that will happen, which gives rise to two cells, this is known as first cleavage. This is known as first cleavage of the zygote, and this is carried out by your proximal centriole. This is carried out by your proximal centriole. So proximal centriole plays an important role in the first division of the zygote. Okay, and what is the role of the distal centriole? The distal centriole gives rise to the axial filament of the sperm. What is axial filament? This region. This is your axial filament. This filament that you see in the middle, this is your axial filament. This is your axial filament. Okay, as you can see, it has been labeled here also. This is your axial filament. Okay, so what is the function of proximal centriole? The function of proximal centriole is the first division of the zygote, and the function of the distal centriole is to give rise to the axial filament, which runs into the tail and helps in the whipping motion of the tail, because of which the sperms move. Okay, so now is the neck portion of the sperm clear to everybody? Beta, this is not important from boards. Okay, this is not important from boards point of view, because in boards point of view they have not mentioned your proximal and the distal centriole. Okay, sabko clear hua? So shall we move forward then? This is clear to everybody? So only 16 people have said yes. Aage badhe fair? So since nobody has said no, let's move forward then. Again, this is not important from your board's point of view. Okay, in board's point of view, your centrioles are not mentioned in the sperms, but it is important from the NEET point of view. Okay, so let's move forward then. Now let's go to your middle piece. What does middle piece contain? Very obvious. Middle piece contains numerous mitochondria, right? Numerous mitochondria. It is in micrometers, beta. Okay, numerous mitochondria. And what is the function of mitochondria? It produces energy for the movement of the tail, right? What is the function of mitochondria? Mitochondria, we all know, is the powerhouse of the cell. So what is the function of the powerhouse of the cell? To produce energy so that the tail of the sperm can move. Okay, and it also contains, at the end of middle piece, there is an annulus with unknown function. So at the end of the middle piece, so if you go back here, there is a ring-like structure here. Okay, there is a ring-like structure here, and that ring-like structure is known as annulus. And the function of annulus is not known. The function of the annulus is not known. Okay, so at the end of the middle piece, there is a ring-like structure which is known as annulus, and the function of annulus has not yet been determined. It is present in the sperm, but what function does it serve? We still do not know. Okay, okay. So let's move forward then. Sorry about that. Okay, so your middle piece contains your mitochondria, and mitochondria produces energy. Mitochondria produces energy for the movement of the tail. At the end of the middle piece, there's a ring-like structure known as annulus, whose function we do not know. The last part is tail, and tail is several times longer than the head. Obvious hai, tail itna lamba hota hai. You look at any structure of a sperm. Look at any structure of a sperm. You have your neck, you have your head. Sorry, you have your head, you have your middle piece, and then you have your tail, and then you have your tail, right? So the tail is longer, much longer than your head. The tail is much longer than your head. Okay? And the sperm swim about by its tail in a fluid medium. So the tail helps in movement of the sperm. The tail helps in movement of the sperm. The tail helps in movement of the sperm. Okay? Okay. So is the structure of the sperm clear to everybody? Beta, give me a yes or no. Is the structure of sperm? Sorry about that. Is the structure of sperm clear to everybody? Just give me a quick yes or no, beta. Is the structure of sperm clear to everybody? Sabko samjha? So this is your electron microscope. This is your electron microscope photo of a sperm. Microscope photo of a sperm. That is what a sperm looks like under an electron microscope. Okay? And that is what it looks like. Okay? Okay. Pritesh, in some ways, I don't know, you can say that. Okay? Okay. One last thing, then we'll wrap up the class, beta. Okay? That is, what do we mean by adequate number of sperms? How many sperms should be present? Okay? So, the human male ejaculates about 200 to 300 million sperms during coitus. That is, during a normal ejaculation, a human male ejects 200 to 300 million sperms. Yaad rakhna number. Okay? Yes, Kishan, in the previous photo, the electron microscope photo was stained, obviously. Beta, coitus means what? Sex. Okay? Or sexual intercourse. Sexual intercourse. That is what coitus means. Okay? Okay. Yes, Ashwin, beta, all sperms have slightly different DNA, beta. Obviously. Okay? So, a male ejects about 200 to 300 million sperms during coitus or sexual intercourse. Okay? And in order to have normal fertility, if a male has to be fertile, at least 60% sperms must have normal shape and size. That is, if you're ejecting out 200 million sperms, out of those at least 120 million sperms should have normal shape and size. Okay, na? If all of them have normal shape and size, very good for you. But at least 60% of them should have normal shape and size. Okay, so actually there are sperms in which there are two heads. Pata hai? There are sperms in which there are two heads. Okay, that is a condition. Okay, which happens in certain males. Okay, it's actually very interesting if you read about it. Okay, you can go back. You're already at home. After the class, maybe you can look it up. Sperms with two heads. Okay, then you can read what happens if a person has sperm with two heads. Okay. Anyway, so if a male has to be fertile, at least 60% of the sperms in the ejaculate should have normal shape and size, and at least 40% of them must show vigorous motility. Vigorous motility means what? Vigorous motility means that they should be very motile. They should swim very fast. They should be very motile. So, what are the conditions for a male to be fertile? The conditions for a male to be fertile are at least 60% of the sperms should have normal shape and size. At least 40 of them should show vigorous motility. Okay? Okay. Now, secretions of the epididymis, vas deferens, seminal vesicles, and prostate are essential for maturation and motility of the sperm. Something that we have studied, that all these ducts, all these glands play a very important role in maturation and motility of the sperm. Okay? And these secretions are known as seminal plasma. So seminal plasma along with sperms constitute the semen. पहले भी बताया था मैं that seminal plasma plus sperms give rise to your semen. Okay? Vigorous means what? Vigorous means very rapid, beta. बहुत ज़्यादा. Okay? Okay. How will a male? Beta, obviously a male cannot tell whether the sperm has 40% motility or not. Okay? Obviously you have to go to a doctor. a sexologist, and that person will take your sperms, will look at it under a microscope, and will tell whether your sperms have enough motility or not. Okay, how much person sperms are there in? Beta person sperms nahi hota. There are 200 to 300 million sperms in every ejaculate. Okay, every time a male has sexual intercourse or ejaculates, the ejaculate contains 200 to 300 million sperms. Okay, and on that note, I'll end today's class. Okay, do not run off, beta. Just give me a quick feedback. Then you guys can run off here. Okay, your feedback is very important to me. Then you guys can run off. Okay, can you burn sperms? Why would you want to burn sperms? Yeah. Okay. Okay. So I hope that you guys like today's class. Okay. It was as always a pleasure teaching you guys. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Okay. Please take care, everybody. And Shabba khair. Bye bye.